Well, I am just outside of Yakima, Washington in the Cowiche Canyon, and there's a whole trail system here, about 15 miles of trail on Bureau of Land Management land, Cowiche Canyon Conservancy, and a little bit of private land. Right now I'm on the Cowiche Canyon Trail, and I have this loop planned out. It'll take me on the Radio Flyer loop, the Summit South loop, and I think there's also a Jeep trail, but we'll see how things go. And then we'll head back to the trailhead. There's actually multiple trailheads, I think 5. We'll head to some of the other ones, but we're in the high desert now, and I kind of always find this fascinating. So here we go on the Cowiche Canyon trail system. So I've reached the first junction, and I forgot about this trail. This is a Lone Pine Trail, which will connect to the Radio Flyer Trail. So I've reached the junction with the Radio Flyer Trail, and I'm going to start heading in this direction. So the Lone Pine Trail does make a short jog on the Radio Flyer loop. This Lone Pine Trail ultimately connects in with the historic Jeep Trail, but we'll continue on the Radio Flyer loop trail. So straight ahead, and it might be hard to see, is Mount St. Helens. So I've reached this trail, and I think some of the naming convention might be a little bit off. I think some of the maps call this trail the historic Jeep Trail, but then this sign says that it's a Summit South loop. But I just feel like that's wrong. I'm gonna walk down this way based on, image that I have in my mind of the path that I'm supposed to be taking. All right, I've reached this Summit View South Loop Trail, and based on the signage here, they do have a naming convention. As you can see on the top sign, it says the Summit View Trail in both directions. But if we look on their actual map here, we're right here, and we got the Summit View Trail here, and we got the historic Jeep Trail here. So yeah, the Summit View Trail does go down in this direction, but once we reach the sign, the trail changes names. So I don't know why the sign says that Summit View Trail is in both directions, but I'm going to continue off in this direction on the Summit View South Trail. All right, I've reconnected to whatever trail this is, the historic Jeep Trail or the Summit View Trail. I'm not even sure at this point anymore. So there's a short hike that we got to make to get back to the Radio Flyer Trail. All right, I'm back on the Radio Flyer loop and we're kind of headed back towards the Cowiche Canyon. All right, I've reached another junction. This is the South Rim Trail. I'm gonna walk down it for a second and see if I can get a look at the canyon. All right, so here's a good look at the canyon. All right, I made it back to the Cowiche Canyon Trail. Head back to the trailhead, and then we'll go to one of the other trailheads and hike on some other trails. All right, I moved on to the Scenic Uplands trailhead, and I'm on the East Uplands Trail. I think it's about 1.1 miles to the Cowiche Canyon Trail, so I'll probably go all the way there, but I'm gonna break this up into multiple days, exploring all the different trails. So another day I may come back here and film some more of the trails that start out here at the Scenic Uplands trailhead. So here we go. All right, we've gone maybe 2/10 or 3/10 of a mile. We've already come up on the second trail junctions. The one off to the right is the North Uplands Trail. And that doesn't even include the fact that right at the trailhead there's two different trails that start out there. So yeah, lots of opportunity for hiking out here. All right, I've only gone a couple hundred feet down the trail. We've already reached another junction. We could go off to the left on the South Rim Trail, but we'll continue ahead on the East Uplands Trail. All right, I made it to the Cowiche Canyon Trail. I'm gonna walk down a little bit. There's a bridge right up ahead. All right, I'm headed back on the East Uplands Trail. All right, I made it back to the trailhead. I'm gonna wrap it up for the day. Come back another day, start fresh. All right, round two at the Scenic Uplands Trailhead. We're starting out at the North Uplands Loop. We'll go on the fence line trail, which is 4/10 of a mile, and then dead ends. And then we'll come back, finish out the North Uplands Trail. And then I may go down the historic Jeep Trail for a little bit. We'll see how things are going. So here we go. All right, I made it to the junction of the fence line trail. This should be interesting. Looks like we're gonna be walking next to a vineyard. So it turns out these are apple trees. Well, I made it to the end of the fence line trail. That was actually a lot quicker than I expected. Alright, I'm back at the junction of the North Uplands Trail. Alright, I'm on the historic Jeep Trail. Alright, so these trails have felt really short, so I'm just going to continue on and go on the South Uplands Loop Trail. Alright, I made it to the junction of Coyote Way, and there's a little bit of a summit up this direction, so we're going to hike up that, and then we'll continue back onto the South Uplands Trail. Alright, I made it to this little summit, and this is actually on the cliff path. Now, if you watched my last video about Yakima, the Fulbright Park that I was at is right in this area, the hill that I hiked up. Alright, I'm on the South Uplands Trail, and I'm going to start heading straight back to my van. And then we'll continue on with the exploration of the Cowiche Canyon. Alright, I've moved on now, and I'm at the East Cowiche Canyon trailhead. This might be the last trailhead that I check out. There's one more that would be kind of cool to go to. It's the Winery trailhead. That unfortunately is on private land. And the Cowiche Canyon Conservancy website doesn't actually give you an address for any of the trailheads. Google Maps does have some of the trailheads, but it doesn't have the Winery trailhead. So, this, like I said, this might be the last spot that I stop at. Although, what may end up happening is that I'll hike all the way to the Winery trail on the Cowiche Canyon trail, and then hike up that a little bit to walk through the vineyards. There's really no junctions anywhere close to the East Cowiche Canyon trailhead. So it's just mostly from here hiking on the Cowiche Canyon Trail. So here we go. I think there might have been a railroad that cut through this canyon at one time. Alright, I made it to the junction of the East Uplands Trail, and from being down here previously, I know that the Winery Trail is not that far up this trailhead. The hike to this point has been a lot shorter than I anticipated, so we're going to take advantage. I'm just going to go on the Winery Trail now. Well, I made it to the Winery Trail, and this trail is at 0.8 of a mile one way, so I don't know if I'll go all the way to the trailhead, but I want to try to at least get to the vineyards. Well, I've made it to the winery, so we'll walk around here for a bit start heading back. Alright, I made it to the winery's tasting room, which happens to be the trailhead here at the winery. The typical Cowiche Canyon trailhead information was posted right on the side of the building. So that's kind of fun. You do a little hiking, you can come back into the tasting room and try some wine. Okay, I've left the winery and I've actually taken a different trail out. There's a split just up ahead that will reconnect with the winery trail, but there is other wineries around here you probably could see just up ahead. I don't think you can access that winery though, so we'll start heading back to the trailhead. Alright, I'm almost back to the trailhead, and this is going to be a wrap for the Cowiche Canyon. I definitely hiked on a lot of the trails, but there's a lot more that I could have hiked on, but there's only so much that I can do. With that, I want to thank you for watching.